Um, you said you wanted to talk about the NFL, man, because the game last night was on Amazon Prime, which is odd. And I also want to talk about this Rotimi thing with the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's gotten out of hand, and Rotimi doing the theme song for the Falcons, and he has made a response to Atlanta Falcons fans as well. Ti
Hold
said a
on.
couple of things too.
Me too. Hold on. First of all, I see Leroy with the Murdergram verse. Touche. Murdergram is pretty epic.
Murder Graham
He's
is
nice on Murdergram.
he is.
He got busy on Murdergram. I'm gonna give him Murdergram. That's up there high. Okay. So I always think I try to think like through the mind of my childhood and the things that I experienced and why and how I got to experience them. So one of the coolest things for a kid that grew up without a lot of money that's impoverished is that, well, on Sunday, the football games come on regular TV. But Monday Night Football used to come on regular TV too, Mike. And it was so crucial to kids who love football and want to play football that maybe don't have the economic resources that others do to watch it on cable at the time. Now, I understand we live in a different world. There's a lot of different ways to stream. So most people have access through some way or somehow to the NFL network or ESPN to watch these games, including the young kids. But you can't tell me that the kids that grew up on the west side of Charlotte, where I'm from, or the east side of Atlanta, where I'm from, that grew up in the conditions that I grew up in, had access to some Amazon Prime video last night, and I don't like it.
Mm. Well, you know
It's just
what?
it.
The NFL doesn't care, and I think that the
Right,
NFL has this mentality, and they've had it for a minute. They'll do whatever they want to do. You're gonna watch
right.
anyway. You
They
know what
don't
I'm
care if
saying?
they don't care if their players beat their wife's ass. You know, if quarterbacks sit up there and get 55 massages and commit borderline rape. No, they don't care.
Well, I think that the Kaepernick situation showed us that, and regardless of how anybody feels about Kaepernick kneeling or not kneeling, whatever, but their stance on that and how they handled that situation based on how the public's reaction was, it lets you know that yeah, they could care less. Not to mention like a year before that, when like you said, the Ray Rice situation happened, and
Yeah.
every single commercial you saw, something about domestic violence, domestic violence. They made a clear stand on that. But when it came to this Kaepernick thing and what Kaepernick was standing for, they villainized him, and they knew that people were gonna watch anyway.
Mhm.
The NFL dares you to boycott them. Like, what? You're not gonna watch football? Yeah, right. So
Mhm.
we'll do whatever we want. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's Born King in
No,
the
I
super
mean,
chat
see, here's
says,
the thing.
"Go ahead."
Like people joke about like the mafia and the mob and like how people move. People got to understand like when people are like really like moving like the mob and like throwing up gang signs and shit. Like those are gang signs, Mike. I take those like gang signs. It's like, yeah, fuck your impoverished community. Say something.
Are you talking
Do
about the
something.
NFL doing the Amazon Prime?
Yeah. That twisting their fingers up. We don't care about your community. You either
They
you either
don't.
pay this ticket or not. You better take this 30-day trial and not forget.
I mean, let's just be real. That's not their market. Now, that might be their market to get their future players,
Oh
but
no,
that's
no. I'm
not
about to
their,
say
that's
no, no,
not who
no.
they're selling
That
their
is your
tickets to.
market. No, no, no. That is Mike. That is your market. Trust me. I grew up on the east side of Atlanta and the west side of Charlotte. That
I
is where
hear you.
that is your market. That is where the players reside.
I hear you. That's part of your market, but
Specifically, the east side of Atlanta. Specifically,
as
yeah,
far as
that
the
is.
money spending market, that's not their market.
Mm.
That's all. That's what I'm
Mm.
saying. The season ticket holders. You know what I mean? Like,
Here's what I'm saying though. Okay, so here's what's going to happen though. So
look at the
here's how thin these
commercials.
margins are. No, here's how thin these margins are. When you're saying it's like they don't care about that demographic, well, that kid might get access to the NBA games just on regular TV or ESPN this year, and he might put down a football and start picking up a basketball instead because he got more access to it. You play what you have access to. This is why baseball started failing, is because they started cutting off access to stuff because they thought. Remember, Mike, baseball used to be the biggest thing. Even there was a time when you and I were kids, like
Yeah,
in our lifetime, Mike, baseball was the
baseball was the
biggest
shit.
sport in this
Yeah.
nation. And you want to know what they did? They forgot about everybody else and they just started taking care of them rich old white people, and they have themselves in third place, trending towards fourth place. We'd rather see UFC or a boxing match.
Yeah, they might be past third place. What I was gonna say though,
I said might be fourth
I
place,
don't
right?
think that the NFL takes. I don't think the NBA takes NFL's personnel. I mean, it's just not the same makeup. I think baseball and football kind of take each other's players. I think a lot
When
of the
it's
baseball players end up playing football, but you have to be physically. If you're a football player, more times than not, you're not a basketball player. Like physically, maybe a wide receiver. That's it. Everything
no, I
else.
don't.
What other position
I'm
player?
looking at it through the eyes of a child or a young teenager, Mike. So at that stage, no, it's not like that yet. I'm not looking at it like you're 17. I'm looking at it like you're 11, 12, 13.
Well, not everybody's gonna be 6'6".
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna
But
be a
Steph
big.
Curry is all. This is what I'm saying. No. Steph's changed all that, Mike. It's different now. Steph has changed all that. You can't kick that 6'6" basketball thing anymore. They're watching Steph win 4 rings, 2 MVPs, and he's about 190 pounds, 6'2" and a half, 6'3".
Well, yeah,
You can't kick that anymore. He changed things. So they do believe that. So a kid will, yeah.
I don't know,
It's a
man.
thin margin. All I'm saying is the NFL has been doing a lot of risky things lately. You know,
Born
they've
King
been
with the
they've been
super.
doing a lot to hurt themselves in little ways that I remember baseball did when we were younger. And it's like, oh, y'all one strike away from being out of first place. How about that?
So you think that? Oh, I'm gonna get to that point in a
Baseball
second.
was in first place till the '94 strike, Mike.
Let me go to these super chats real quick, and I'm gonna follow up on that. Born King said the stars were aligned for Jay. With the demise of Pac and Big, he saw Puff bring in the flashiness. He seized the moment with the bling, and it shifted the game. I think Puff was the first like rap superstar that we knew wasn't really a rapper. C Note with the super chat says, when it comes to gangster lyrics, who's more intricate with the bar work than Brother Lynch Young? Excuse me.
What define intricate when you say that? Because I immediately thought, well, Scarface is more intricate, but
I guess he means like lyrical dexterity or whatnot.
right, that's what I mean. You mean
Yeah.
the lyrical miracle stuff? Because it's like if you want to talk about intricate, the stuff that Scarface writes is intricate.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I think AZ versus Nas would be closer than we think. Bar for bar, possibly. I don't know, man. I'm gonna give AZ his credit, but Nas is something else, man. This is what I want to say though. As far as I want to ask you straight up, do you think there's ever going to be a moment where the NBA overtakes the NFL as far as popularity?
Yes.
I disagree with that. You know why? Because the NFL has this advantage over everybody. They have this week to week parity. It's not 82 games. They have everybody building up for one game a whole week, and they're able to develop. I mean, let's look at it from a marketing standpoint. It's like hype. It's like a movie's coming out. Like they're able to build on that one game for a whole week, where the NBA can't do that until it's playoff time, really. The NFL has the playoffs every fucking week. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. Oh, at some point, everything has tipping points, Mike. It's like when the baseball strike happened in 1994, and I was 12 going on 13 years old, and I felt like that was actually the best Braves team that we ever had, the team that happened during the strike season. That was actually our best team.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought that I would fall out of love with baseball the way that I did. I've never fallen back in love with the baseball. I love the Atlanta Braves. I don't love baseball anymore. You were one major mistake away from losing a young core fan base, and then that young core fan base grows up, and that's why the NFL is in first place, because all of us who used to follow baseball religiously like we were talked to like it was the number one sport, well, they failed us right at the wrong time. And when you fail a certain community and demographic at the wrong time, well, Mike, our demographic is the demographic who, quite frankly, have been the players in the NFL for the last 20 years.
Well, you know what I will say.
Are becoming the coaches and the assistant coaches and the GMs and the parents to the kids. And baseball having that strike had a major, major effect on that. So they are literally one more, big, borderline rape case or somebody dying on the field or CTE away. Yes, they are.
I don't know,
yes,
man.
They are,
somebody in the chat said,
in our lifetime, Mike.
Somebody in the chat.
Third behind. People understand. they jumped from third to first. The NBA stayed in second place.
Listen, man. Somebody in the chat says something that I totally agree with. Fantasy football alone will keep them on top. I
You
mean,
keep
it
you
will.
keep you keep saying that, Mike. Like people don't understand. The world will change right in front of you. Like when I
It
ask
will.
you who the pop radio stars are, you understand that you named 3 women.
No, you're
Stop
right.
acting like things are the same. If you don't start recognizing the changes going on, like when you brought up the pop stars, it's like we had to bring up Lotto, Megan, and you picked the biggest one is Doja Cat. Now name a time in rap where you named 3 women as being 6 of the top pop stars that you named. Things change. People need to be careful. So when y'all talking all this stuff, it's like no. I remember this today. Somebody reminded me. It's like no. People hated Dr. King right before he died. People hated Muhammad Ali when he was in his prime. Stop acting like things don't change.
I mean, people always hated Dr. King.
Right.
Not just right before he died.
Well, no, all I'm saying is that the reference for him is different now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mad
yeah,
Max with the
yeah.
super chat says Monday Night Football in 2020 got more ratings than the NBA Finals with LeBron in 2020. It's not close. The NFL is king. That's an event, not a game. They do
That's
market
what.
it as an event. Jay Short says NFL is number one popularity because of gambling, period.
That's like I said. I remember I used to hear all this stuff about baseball when I was a kid and why baseball ran shit. And baseball was like, oh, we got it. And then they fucked up, and then it wasn't the same.
I do
And I
think
tell
you
you
got to be
what, the
adaptable,
people
though.
now, the people now are less forgiving than the people were then.
One thing I will say, you do have to be adaptable, and I think in the internet age, the world's just faster, and basketball has been able to adapt to being a faster, more highlight-friendly game. I think that the internet as well, and baseball's inability to be adaptive. I mean, they wouldn't even put lights in Wrigley Field for decades. I think that's what made it fall behind as well. Well, the Falcons have definitely failed the fans by getting Rotimi to do the theme song. And we'll talk
They
about that in a
failed.
second.
They failed the city in a multitude of ways, Mike. This is just reason number like 5,500.
You know what? I want to say this. When they gave up that
It's
lead to the New England Patriots, do people really
28-3.
understand what the new arena was being built? The new arena, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we would have walked into that stadium that following year putting up a banner. You know what kind of culture setting that is?
The type of thing that won't be happening to the Falcons. It was 28-3. It's 28-3.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Coop, Montreal Expos, was gonna wash y'all in '94. The Montreal Expos
Man,
were
first
good.
of all,
They had Marquise Grissom that year. Right?
they had Marquise Grissom and Pedro Martinez, and we were still gonna whoop that ass. Fuck your team. All right.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says Nas said that it was in the studio. He was in the studio with Big and folded up. Why doesn't he lose points for that? But Wayne loses points because of Pusha T. Huh?
I mean, there was also the time that Nas and Big were supposed to go to the studio, but Big didn't want to go because he was too high, so they just ended up sitting in the apartment freestyling. All right, we don't hold that against Big. Get all your stories together. Next. That's what I'm saying. People be telling the story to fit the narrative. It's like, no, tell all the stories. Tell the story about how Big told everybody that the illest MC he ever heard was Nas, because one night him and Nas got faded in the apartment and was supposed to go to the studio, but the nigga Nas blacked out and kept on freestyling and rhyming and telling stories and songs and putting hooks together, and they never even made it to the studio. Big was amazed and shook up that night.
Well, Big did say that the 95 Source Awards, he said that Nas should win Lyricist of the Year. He's like, I think I should win Album of the Year for Ready to Die. So, he has acknowledged that.
Biggie said that?
Yeah. Big said that before the award show happened. He was like, because you know how they kind of get the pregame predictions or whatever? He was like, yo, man, Nas, man, he made Illmatic, man, he should get Lyricist of the Year. He got that, but I think Ready to Die should win Album of the Year.
Well, I think the rest of the people need to say less then.
Well, he said that. I mean, I've seen the footage. It's on YouTube.
No,
Mad Max
I don't
with
have the story backwards. Biggie and Nas had a whole freestyle session where Biggie said Nas was the illest nigga he ever heard. I remember that.
Mad Max with the super chat says baseball fell off because it went Latino instead of black. And NFL don't have that problem. Also, the NBA right now is whack. That's not in That's not entertaining seeing threes every play. You know what? I agree with everything that Mad Max just said. First of all, your first point, very potent. And I think that, it's no disrespect to the Latino players, but I do think that there is from a marketing standpoint, if you're not speaking the English language, fluently, that can get in the way of a team or a league's ability to market the individual player. That's one thing, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I like that, and I'll tell you why.
I mean, you cannot like it. It's just the truth. Like, you know what
Well,
I'm
it is the
saying?
truth. But see, the,
I mean, I know Stephen A. got in trouble for saying that, but it's true. Like, if I went to Japan, I can't speak Japanese. It's gonna hurt my marketability in that country. It is. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
no, I just think about I think about all the interpreters and all the people overseas who, traditionally learn 3, 4, 5 languages.
Right.
And we just over here stuck on English, and we act like we can't conform to everything, but we ask everybody to conform to us.
Well, I mean,
I think those problematic things that gets unpacked during the course of this show. I want you to understand, like when you were overseas, when you were in Africa, my mother just got back from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in Africa for 2 weeks doing missionary work. There's nothing for them to speak in 3, 4, 5, 6 different dialects. When I'm in Europe, it is nothing for them to speak Spanish, Italian, French. Oh, my mother's Portugal. I speak a little Portuguese too. It's like, isn't that French and Spanish? It's exactly what it is, but I know how to speak French and Spanish too. It's like, if you don't know 3 to 4 languages over in these places, you are not considered to be the sharpest knife in the drawer. Let me say it to you again. You are motherfucking stupid to these people if you can't speak a few languages. And so when we have all these constraints that involve English, which quite frankly doesn't even belong to us, it's just like, no, that ain't the reason. That's what I mean about like all these conformist standards and how things run and work. It's like, oh, they don't speak English and that's the problem. It's like, no, the motherfucker speaking English is the problem, not that they don't speak English.
Well, I hear
Can
what
you
you're
hit
saying.
the baseball and bat 300 and hit maybe 30 home runs and steal about 15 bases for me? That sounds like a fucking star. It is the job of the leagues and the players and the clubhouses, the management, the staff, the organization to make these players into stars. It's like, does baseball need an A&R, Mike? They need some A&Rs. They need some artists and repertoire too.
Well, how
that's
can
what
we?
the
No,
problem
no,
is.
no,
The
no,
problem is
no.
not the talent.
I think at the end of the day, though, how can we say somebody has star power when one of the biggest things about star power, especially for entertainers, because that's what athletes are, you have to be able to communicate to your audience as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing that somebody has a great rap record, but we talk about it all the time. People being media trained or lack thereof. Have you ever seen an interview with like a certain artist on the Breakfast Club or whatever, and people like them more after they heard them interview and speak to somebody? That's why we even do interviews, so that you can connect to your audience. Now, I think what you're talking about, I mean, that's something,
See,
structural.
but in baseball it's different though, Mike, because baseball above all the sports is about the numbers. In those players, the Latino player, oh, they put up better numbers than everybody, except with the exception of a canonized selection of black players. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so, like, no, because in baseball specifically, it's a numbers games. Like Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, what's his name, who's been hurt all the time for the Yankees, Juan Carlos Stanton. No.
So there's
numbers.
marketable.
Baseball is a numbers game. When we talk about Barry Bonds, Mike, we talk about all those walks. That's a number. We talk about all those home runs. That's a number. We talk about the fact that he might see one pitch a night. That's a number. It's a numbers game with baseball. Barry Bonds was a fucking asshole to everybody. Mike, he's the greatest baseball player ever. Everybody that saw him play baseball, it's like, it's the best baseball player I ever saw.
But from a marketability standpoint, we know even as great as Barry was, the person
he's a pariah.
The person that was marketed in that era was Ken Griffey Jr. So are you telling me that any of them are as marketable as Ken Griffey Jr.? Are you telling me that as great as somebody like let's just say Tony Kukoc, he could have the swag and the marketability of a Michael Jordan? I mean, you have to be native. I mean, it's a connection that's there.
Mike's not a fair comparison.
Well,
to anybody.
Allen Iverson. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Okay, so what if I were to tell you that Luca might be having an Iverson type impact in over where from where he's from in Europe? What if I told you that?
what if I
Because he's
told you that he'll never have that impact here,
well, he
like
can't
a
because
Iverson?
because he's not from here, and Iverson is. But
Yeah,
that doesn't mean he can't be a star. Everybody can be a star.
I understand what you're saying. I agree with that. Everybody
That's
can
why
be
I
a
love
star.
tennis, Mike. I love me some Rafael Nadal.
I
Rafael
love
Nadal is from
Nadal.
Mallorca, Spain. I love him. He's from Mallorca, Spain.
No, again, it's a lot that goes into selling the league. And I think when you're and these leagues are selling on individual players, and I think baseball did fall behind in that when a lot of black players, black born American players, stopped playing baseball. It is what it is. I mean, we see the trend. They're sitting here
Hold
asking.
on. But
They're
think
sitting
about
here
it, Mike.
asking for black players to play baseball again. You remember
But
in the
think
All
about it,
Star
Mike.
game, they were talking
So, Mike,
about black people need to watch baseball again. They did not
so
say.
look.
Did they not say that?
So, Mike, what I'm trying to tell you is that, well, you know, when that gap and that rift happened for those black players, think about it. When was Griffey that star? That was about what, Mike? When did them Ken Griffey's come out? I believe that was 1992, 1993 that the Griffey's came
The
out,
Griffies
right?
came out, and y'all could Google this. I think the Griffies came out. I want to say it was like 94, 95, because I remember it was like around that time when Orlando went to the finals with Houston. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, "Do you make a song in the studio or in an apartment?" Talk about the Biggie and Nas conversation. That's hilarious. CJ
So,
Kidd with the super chat says, "Coop giving Malcolm X slash Kevin Samuel vibes. I mean, in a good way." Jay
see, but
Short.
this is what I mean. Okay, so, Mike, so go ahead. I didn't
I
know
was
we
gonna
had more
say Jay
super chats. Go
Short.
ahead.
He said ESPN ruined baseball by marketing the same five teams. That could be real too. The Yankees got a lot of burn. 007 says pre-supplement bonds was top five, but better than to say, "Hey kid, Coop." I don't know about the best of our generation. Okay, sure. Now Barry Bonds the greatest baseball player of all time. Look at how many stolen bases Ken Griffey Jr. has in relation to Barry Bonds. Look at how many times Barry Bonds was walked in relation to Ken Griffey Jr. It's not even
Okay,
close.
so So when I say Barry Bonds is the best baseball player ever, I think the person that he did replace is his godfather,
Yeah,
which
I
is
agree.
to say, hey, Kid Willie Mays. That is the person that he supplanted as the best baseball player ever overall. Just so we're being clear. So if I were making a list, it would literally go Barry Bonds, then Willie Mays.
Definitely.
Like in that order directly.
Definitely.
Like specifically. So when you're saying replace him, it's like, well, he's number 2 on my list. Like
I'm pretty
personally
sure
speaking.
Willie Mays would even say that.
Right. But he would. But here's what I'll say, Mike, around the same time that those Griffies are getting released, that's when we're in love with baseball. That's what I'm saying. That strike killed all that for our generation. And if you look, we're about 10, 11, 12, 13 years old when that happens. 10 years later, they're talking about the lack of blacks in baseball. That's right when it happened. That's what I'm speaking to. And so when you're saying that this can't happen to the NFL, it's like, no, we watched it happen in our lifetime with baseball where something happened. And those kids that used to play baseball in the inner city, like me and a bunch of others, stopped when that strike happened, ended up picking up a basketball and a football. It hasn't been the same since. Don't tell me that it can't happen to the NFL because it's some fucking fantasy football, especially when you're playing a violent sport where people can potentially have lifelong injuries. Like I said, it's only going to take one of these people, one of these players, doing something crazy during career. Mike, you remember Chris Benoit, the wrestler, who just one day went berserk and killed his whole family? Oh, you can wrestling's NFL not going to survive that like you think, Mike.
You don't think that
what
the
I'm saying? Like
NFL
that's
has?
wrestling. Like those guys are considered to be kind of borderline fugitive rock stars anyway. No. It's not going to
You
work
don't
in the
think that
NFL.
the NFL has wiggled out of all this CTE stuff?
Mike, that's what I'm saying. How long? Everything that's in the dark gonna come to light, Mike. That's what I keep trying to say. They've been on some very thin ice with a lot of things, like from the female perspective, from the what this is doing to the people when they retire perspective, in terms of people committing suicide or having violent tendencies or being abusive post football, just the dilapidation of the players and the physical attributes. Like we have people who play professional football that's like, I won't let my child play professional football. No, stuff like that gonna come home and roost. It's only gonna take one situation that causes a tipping point.
You
Much
know,
like
this
we
is the
didn't see
thing,
all the
though.
inadequacies with baseball, Mike. We didn't see all the inadequacies with baseball until the strike happened. I'm telling you, you're one tipping point away from it all being different. That's what tipping points are.
The difference here is people know the dangers of football. They play it anyway. They know they can get brain damage. They've seen all the injuries. They see people get injured every week. You know what I mean? Like, there's no mystery in the dangers of football. People play anyway.
Well, Mike, also, can I tell you something, too? I think this crop of players that we've seen in the last 5 years have been the least talented crop that we've seen, too. And that's what I mean.
Well,
Like,
I do
these
want to
guys
get to
are
that
awesome.
other.
Like, when I look defensively when I look at defensive players of the last 5 years that have been drafted, Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys is the only person who flashes to me. It's like, that's a fucking football player. Like, of the real heinous and like violent, like NFL type variety. A lot of these dudes soft as fuck, Mike. A lot of that is the
Well,
game.
ho. And I want to get to the other point that Mad Max made. The NBA, it's not hardcore anymore either. The NBA's not
It's
really.
not.
And honestly,
It's
the
not,
NFL,
but it's more exciting.
is it? Because really,
It
the
is.
NBA right now with no defense and people just running up and down the court shooting threes, it's a little less exciting than it's been over the past 20 years.
You want
for
to know
me.
how that happened, though? Michael Jordan left and people were playing defense, so ratings dropped. And so they started slowly but surely instituting things that changed all that.
I mean, you know what? This last NBA Finals was not great to watch. I mean, Boston wet the bed. It was really poor shooting, not great coaching. Like, the guys don't. First of all, there's no defense in the NBA, right? And then, like Mad Max said, you got guys coming down half court just jacking up threes. Like, it's cool when it goes, but it's not the most fun basketball to watch. Honestly, right now, if you want to talk about product on the field or court, the NFL has the NBA beat as far as product goes.
I don't agree, because if I were to go to the last 10 NBA finals, I would show you 10 better NBA finals than 10 Super Bowls.
Well, things change quick. The last 10 years isn't the last 4 or 5 years in the NBA.
Let's go to the last 4 or 5 years. Because, like, Tampa Bay, like, whooped the shit out of Kansas City. That wasn't exciting. This Cincinnati LA Rams Super Bowl, that wasn't exciting. That's the last 2.
That was a good game. What you mean?
It was a good game, but it wasn't exciting, Mike. It had some moments, but that shit wasn't exciting. The last exciting Super Bowl was the Philadelphia New England Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Super Bowl.
When was that? When was the Philly New England Super Bowl? That was the last Super Bowl. It was like, oh, this shit is popping out here. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, that Super Bowl was exciting. When's the last time a Super Bowl was like that?
What was the last?
Because Steph and KD and LeBron been giving us that pretty steady, like the last 7-8 years.
Let's be real. The last exciting NBA Finals was when LeBron went crazy and made KD.
You were such a
no. Let's be real. That is the last NBA Finals that was exciting, when LeBron turned it on and beat the 73-9
series was exciting.
What's that?
That Phoenix Milwaukee series wasn't exciting.
No, come on, man. Don't nobody want to see Phoenix and Milwaukee. Come on, man. I don't even remember how many games.
I'll take the last 2 finals over the last 2 Super Bowls.
Come on, please.
I'll take the last 2 finals over the last 2 Super Bowls. Do you remember the Rams New England Super Bowl? What was that, like 10-3 or some shit?
Let me get to. Now, that one was boring. I'll give you that one. That one was here.
They've all been boring, Mike, except for that Philly New England one. Been boring.
The last NBA Finals that was exciting was the one where Cleveland beat Golden State. And that's just real. Because after that, KD teamed up with Golden State, and they were just running through people. Nobody wants to see that. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, LOL, Coop, you can market Muhammad Ali. You can market Canelo like Floyd, and the NBA still has to market LeBron as a face because Giannis and Luka don't relate. That's right. There's a reason why Giannis and Luka aren't stars to that degree, and it ain't because of their abilities. It is what it is. CJ Kidd says, who wins a Mike versus Coop battle with the songs you guys made? I don't know. We might do that one day. Andrell Green says, people went crazy over Cole's feature run. Imagine if social media was around in 95 when Nas did Verbal Intercourse, Fast Lane, Eye for an Eye, More Money, More Murder, More Homicide, 101 off the Street Fighter. Yeah. There's levels to this.
Don't forget the hook to Give Me Yours. Don't forget the hook to Give Me Yours. I told you that singing hook. I just realized, I was like, he's singing that hook. I'm like, that's 95. I'm like, what other rappers singing these hooks like this in 95?
Got to
Is that
give
his
it to him.
time? Go shit.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says, "Was wondering if you guys would ever make a ranking scale for what an album needs to be a classic, like you rank the MCs. I think that's a good idea, actually.
I think we're kind of trying to get into that with some of the ratings that we're getting with some of the albums, because I think we're trying to find a way to properly rate it. Now, here's what I'll tell you, Mike.
I think that there does need to be attributes to that because, I came across that post where the Source magazine gave Project Pat's Getty Green 2.5 mics. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, how do you actually justify that? Because the Source used to do it in a way where it's like, I like it, I don't like it. But I do like the idea of having certain criteria for albums.
What would you have that criteria be?
I don't know, man. I think the versatility might be one of them. Creativity, lyrical ability. I mean, production, lyrical ability.
I don't think we can do that, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think we can do that as easily as we said. Pray for Paris, Magic, and Alfredo are the 3 best albums of this decade. Correct.
Correct.
They're all classic for succinctly different reasons, in my opinion. Now, you're going to have to show me what attributes all 3 of those albums share that's going to make me kind of coincide with that more, because we have to keep it current. Like Guru says, to start off Moment of Truth, we have to update our formulas. So we can't necessarily be going off of Illmatic and Paid in Full and Aquemini to make the basis of it. We need to be looking at the classics that have been made recently. Now, what do Magic, Alfredo, and Pray for Paris have in common?
Production, number 1.
Okay.
Great
rhyming.
No,
I'm with you. I'm about to take notes.
Rhyming. So bars, right?
Okay, so some are going to quibble with you about West Side Gun and the bars because I knew you were going there. So what's going to be your rebuttal to that? And I agree with you, because I'm probably going to have the same devil's advocate response, but go ahead.
George Bondo is my response.
Right. Mike, I was thinking George Bondo and 500-pound ounces was my response.
There's some bars on that album, yeah.
There
and it might not be the bars.
Mike, he's got some bars on there, Mike.
Yeah.
Eurostep.
Yeah.
He's got bars on there. I don't care what anybody says. He's got bars on Pray for Paris.
I mean, Tyler on there. You know what I'm saying? Wale on there. Joey's giving it to him on there. Right. Yeah. You got bars on there.
You do have bars.
Deontay Smith with the super chat says, I think that the fact that we are seeing more black quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Mahomes, is making the sport more popular in our community. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, gonna record my first song tomorrow. Wish me luck. You got this. Good luck. Send it over to info@accordingtohiphop.com. We want to check
Think like a champion and be a champion.
Yeah, 36 with the super chat says, as long as white conservatives are the dominant and NFL influence, I don't see it slipping from the number 1 spot. Add in the biggest marketing budget too. Right. Yeah.
Stop what you just said. Listen to what you just talked about, though. You just talked about the influx of blacks.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm afraid of. And listen to what I'm about to say, because you remember how you were bringing up Luka and Giannis and all them?
Yeah.
Oh, no. You think all these white people with all these disposable dollars, you think they like this Deshaun Watson thing? You think they like Lamar Jackson winning unanimous MVP? You think they like a little mixed curly-haired quarterback being the face of the NFL when Tom Brady or Peyton Manning retire? Because if you think that shit here in America, you haven't been paying attention.
They got Josh Allen.
Like I'm saying, listen, let me finish. They're one tipping point away from putting their dollars behind black faces that they can see every week and trust. All right, NBA. One tipping point mistake away, Mike. If you think that they want this league to be replaced from Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning with Lamar Jackson. No,
well, this is the difference, Coop.
Where do you live? What world do you live in?
This is the difference.
What world do you live in?
Listen to me.
Well, show me the world you live in.
Coop, I'm about to respond to you.
You think they want Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson to run this league for the next 10 years? Where the fuck have y'all been?
Coop, this isn't basketball.
No, this is America.
Listen to what I'm going to say, though. The NFL is a controlled environment. They draw up the plays. The plays come from up high. Who do you think is coming up with this stuff? Lamar Jackson and Mahomes aren't able to go out there and do whatever they want to do out here. Come on. They can't do that in basketball. You get niggas the ball, they just gonna go.
Like
Ain't
I said,
nobody able to go to the press box and draw up anything for LeBron.
Hey, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying, Mike. If you think, listen to what I'm about to say. They would rather deal with LeBron and Steph Curry than deal with a Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson. I don't think you're paying attention to what I'm saying. All due respect. Are you getting what I'm saying when I'm saying that? Because I'm trying to nuance that a little bit nicer for you. Like,
well,
do you
LeBron's
see how
on his way
Deshaun Watson? No. Have you heard Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson speak, or how they're kind of like verbal, non-verbal comes off?
So you think they would rather deal with the more intellectual one than
intellectual,
black,
clean cut, more passable, like they always have traditionally? What do you mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, if that's gonna be my face, give me that face.
Well, we'll see who wins the Super Bowls, because that's what you're naming. You're naming guys who won the NBA Finals. So we'll see who wins the Super Bowls. Because winning in football is a team effort. You could be a great quarterback, and
I'm picking Lamar Jackson to win MVP and go to the Super Bowl. They done tried him, and he's about to show out. So I'm picking Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Jay Short says, Mike, you sounded like David Stern. The NBA ain't the WWE. It's not? Okay. Eric Terrell with the Super
Chat. Are you sure about that?
Eric Terrell says, players putting together their own Big Three teams ruin the NBA. All the All-Stars and 4 or 5 teams. Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
From an entertainment standpoint.
Other people that's in control, but you can keep thinking. Okay.
Well, see, this is the thing. And this is what I mean when it comes from, like, when I'm saying that the plays come from up high. Basketball is one of those things where the players actually run that league. The players will never run the NFL. And that level of control is where, the higher-ups like it. They can't control the NBA. These guys can go do whatever they want. Go play with whoever they want to. Born King with the Super Chat says, stop it, dude. The Rams and Bengals were great. Yeah, I enjoyed the Super Bowl, too. I don't know what Coop's talking about.
It was just solid, Mike. It was a good game.
Jay Short says, NFL.
It's like, thanks for giving me a good football game to end my season. That's great. The game was good.
Cool. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, NFL is sweeping Lamar and Mahomes aside to make Josh Allen, Herbert, and Jay Burrow the faces of the league. They don't want another Kaepernick situation. Yeah?
Yes, they are. They don't know. Joe Burrow's more Kaepernick than Lamar.
Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, what was his first full year? Jesus.
No. Joe. Have you heard some of Joe Burrow's views? That's what I'm saying. Joe Burrow's more Kaepernick than Lamar and Deshaun are, and they are pushing them to the side. It's like Josh Allen has usurped Lamar Jackson in people's minds when they're like, well, he's a quarterback that can run and he can throw. It's like, yeah, I got a guy that did that won unanimous MVP that's younger than him. He's just black.
KD with the Super Chat says, not only do you need to define criteria to determine a classic, you got to define weights to each variable, too. How much does the impact matter versus lyricism? Yeah, right. I think that's all real. Andrew Green says, yo, Coop, Nas said on Nas slide on Nostradamus, or Nas said on Nostradamus, first in to sing a hook on some TJ Swan-ish. He started the way.
First nigga to sing a hook on some TJ Swan shit. Yeah. He did say that on Nostradamus.
He did.
That bar doesn't sound like trash now.
Ryan Gillum says,
beat is so happy though. Next,
if KD3 turns out to be better than KD 1, 2, and Magic, would y'all agree that the album this year's best year for the best album so far? Yeah, if it's better than KD 1, 2, and Magic, yeah, it's gonna be album of the year.
If it's better than KD 1, it's going to be album of the year right now. We're going to have to play No Fear of Time.
We got to play No Fear of Time. It's in the way. Mad Max with the Super Chat says, Lamar, Patty, Watson, Herbert, Allen, Burrow, NFL is lit. I agree.
No, they're lit. But listen to what I'm saying. Like, of those quarterbacks, you want to understand, it's like if I were putting those quarterbacks in order from the last time I seen them play, it would literally go Mahomes, Watson, Lamar. That's one mixed guy and two black guys, but they keep on making Josh Allen and Justin Herbert the thing. Now Herbert,
Josh
oh
Allen, the
man,
truth, man. I can't even front, man.
no, all these guys are frightening. But all I'm saying is that other than Patrick Mahomes, who walking around with MVP other than Lamar? So how these guys getting put ahead of Lamar again? I want somebody to explain to me
Lamar
why
got to
they're
win.
ahead of Lamar. Don't nobody. They ain't walking around with no unanimous MVP. They're not.
Lamar got to win.
Lamar has won. Lamar's team was in first place last year until he got hurt. Lamar's taking his team to the playoffs every year he's been healthy.
I hear what
Lamar's
you're saying.
won a playoff game. Lamar has a unanimous MVP.
He got to finish the job.
I need these white boys to win. How about that? How about I need the white boys to win?
He got to finish the job.
These boys haven't finished the job. Mahomes is the only one that finished the job. At least he has an MVP.
How long has Josh Allen been in the league?
Mike, do you know how hard it is? Mike, you've been watching football a long time. You know how hard it is to win MVP in the NFL. Yeah. That might be the hardest MVP award to win.
It is. It is. Deontay Smith with the Super Chat says, I know you guys are pushing a lot of content, but I would love for you two to do a sports discussion show. Yeah.
We've already got the sports discussion show planned. We asked y'all to help us with the name, and y'all have done nothing.
People said according to sports.
We asked for your help.
According to sports. Speaking of which, before we get off this sports topic, what did he say? How did he say his name? Rotimi? That's it. Rotimi. He was doing the Atlanta Falcons theme song. Rotimi is Dre from Power, for the people who don't know. And he did like the theme song for the Atlanta Falcons. He's from New Jersey. Was he Nigerian, I think, originally? And people had problems. People in the A was like, yo, man, where the Atlanta rappers at, man? Where the people who represent Georgia? Where the people who be out here at these games? Why do y'all have Rotimi out here doing this? And, Big Tigger was in the video, by the way. And so it was no surprise to me that Rotimi's response to the fans came on Big Tigger's morning show, and Big Tigger sat here and act like he was the rest of us in shock, like, nigga, you were in the shit. I think Big Tigger's behind this, actually, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, Rotimi said that the Atlanta Falcons saw some of his content, and they called him to do it. And he said he's been living in Atlanta. It's like his second home or whatever. When he wasn't shooting for Power and wanted to get away from the city, he would come down here to Atlanta. His daughter lives down here or something like that. And he said, yeah, for sure, I'll do it. And he did it. And he doesn't understand what the big problem is, because he said Atlanta's like a second home to him.
Nobody asked him all that.
Well, it's the thing, man. And T.I. has said some things, too. He said that the Falcons need to holler at him because, what they did was, it's going to divide the fans. He used a whole lot of $5 words in describing all of this. But ultimately, I think that the people that should have been called for it, in my opinion, I'm saying Quavo and Takeoff. Unc and Few on a roll. A real roll. And I'm looking forward to their Cuban Links album, too. But
Infinity Links, you mean?
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Infinity Links. I should say Infinity because it's stronger than Cuban, right? I'm looking forward to it. What's that, October 7th? I'm looking forward to it. But yes, with all that being said, though, my only thing is, Rotimi, don't act crazy. You could have reached out to artists and, you know what, if the Falcon, let's just say this. Let's just say I live in LA as my second home. And the Lakers called me and was like, yo, we want you to do the theme song for the Lakers. For whatever reason, they called me, right? And I didn't approach them on it. They just called me for whatever reason. I'm going to be like, you know what? Either I'm going to decline it, or I'm going to use this as an opportunity where it's like, you know what? Let me get together different generations of LA to help me with this. Let me holler at somebody. Because again, with Tigger being in the shot, somebody knew about what was going on. This wasn't no secret mission.
Where's Tigger from?
Tigger from DC, ain't he, y'all?
He's from Jersey, I thought.
Is he from Jersey? Okay. I know
he's a DJ in Jersey, right? Wasn't he a radio host in Jersey first? I think he went to
school in DC, but somewhere up there, yeah.
Where's Rotimi from originally?
Jersey. He's from Jersey.
Okay, I'm pretty certain. Matter of fact, I know that Tigger was a DJ in Jersey because he used to spin Redman's records. So, Fascinating.
Would New York let us do that? They shouldn't.
Without getting shot,
would,
Mike, without getting
would New
shot.
York
You see
let
what
me
they did in
go
the
out
game when
there?
Game pulled up the Hot 97? Okay.
Would New York let me go out there and do that with the Mets or the Jets or the Giants or the Yankees?
Mike, we're not going to be able to walk through Queens or the Bronx.
And didn't
Straight
holler
up.
at nobody? I think
Straight
that's
up.
the problem, man. Like, and then they trying to act like people in Atlanta are overreacting. Like, no,
No,
you could have hollered at
if this was
somebody.
the Mets, Mike, if this was the Mets, we would not be walking through Queens. If this was the, we would not be walking through the Bronx.
Get a cosign, man. And your cosign can't be Tigger because he ain't from here either.
Right.
And I say that respectfully, Tigger. You know you're not from here.
He's not from here. I don't care how long you live down here.
You ain't even have Ryan Cameron in the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you had somebody like that was co-signing and shit, whatever. Ryan Cameron's an Atlanta legend.
If Jermaine Dupri approved this message, we would all be quiet.
Nobody approved this message.
Nobody approved
this message.
Okay.
And Tigger approving this message doesn't hold weight in this city. Born King with the super chat says, we're still waiting on Jay's... Born King said, we're still waiting on Jay's chess move for the NFL. Keep waiting, guys. Keep waiting.
You hold your breath.
Keep holding your breath. Mad Max with the super chat says, Josh Allen's better than Lamar. Tell Lamar to win a playoff game. Okay.
Lamar has won a playoff game, dummy.
No, he said playoff games with an S. Excuse me. CJ Kidd with the super chat.
How many playoff games has Josh Allen won?
CJ Kidd says, found a tribe versus cast list. Want to go through it? No, we about to go through our own. We're going to do that on Monday.
We're doing that on Monday, actually.
Eric Terrell says, football is a religion and basketball is a sport. CJ Kidd says, Miss Jackson versus award tour. You don't want that. So fresh, so clean versus
an annihilation. Did he just put the don't do that? Don't do that to Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson's not even gonna make my top 30.
Rosa Parks versus Vibrant Thing. He also has Bonds Over Bad Dad versus Space Program. I'll give you Space Program.
So fresh, so clean versus Find a Way.
Yeah, I said that one.
Oh, you did?
That's a good one.
That actually is a good one. I love Find My Way. Find a Way is the last great song to me before this last album. Yeah, I love
I feel the same way about So Fresh, So Clean. I think it's the last great Outkast single.
Yeah, no, you're right. Those are both the last great singles they both released as like actual groups.
Mm-hmm.
While everybody was like, here with us.
Yep. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Coop on your Outkast versus a Tribe Called Quest playlist, Cast 1. We're going to actually play the music this time. It's going to be a little different.
Yeah, it's going to be different. We're going to play the music and
y'all can click the Patreon at the top of the chat too to join.
Also, too, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think the songs that got picked, could have been better on both sides.
Oh yeah, no, it's about to be real this time. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying,
man. I mean, I know Rotimi's trying to make light of this and all that, but you should have hollered at some Atlanta artists. You know what I mean? Like past, present, whatever. I think for me, this might have been a situation where the Atlanta Falcons were either trying to stir up some buzz or they were just being cheap. And a lot of the Atlanta artists, they might just be charging too much. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was.
All the above.
KC1 with the super chat says, is there a better rhyme performance than It Was Written? The extra verses on Street Stream is crazy. I never heard an MC flow so easy on an album. Not to mention, are you talking about the Street Dreams remix too? Or are we talking about the regular one? Too many bars, man.
So I think we had this conversation, Mike, where I was telling you I went and counted the verses on all the all-time great lyrical albums, and that I noticed that It Was Written, Mike, if you told me it was the best lyrical album ever, I couldn't argue with you because there is not another album that has more great lyrical evidence than that album from one MC.
I think that the downfall for me, It Was Written, and I've always never really considered it a classic, which, I've been debunked by that, is the fact that I think the songs just didn't come together as great as the verses did. But you know what? Based on how people view things now, that shit doesn't matter. I mean, based on what Eminem just said, who cares, right? It's all about
no, it's not even that.
Shit.
See, here's the thing about it. When you've always said that, I guess my biggest argument with you has been is it like, no. It's not that the songs and the hooks don't come together and that it doesn't come together. It just doesn't feel as timeless as Illmatic does song-wise. Like those songs are timeless. They feel timeless. And so when you're listening to something that's timeless, it's hard to compare it to something that's just classic. And It Was Written has a lot of classic stuff, but not a ton of timeless stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I think
like
the thing
that,
with It Was Written is the fact that he stepped it up as an individual MC and an individual lyricist, but he just didn't have the, I'm not even going to say beat makers, the actual producers that he had on the first album. Like the producers that he had, one guy was coming off of Midnight Marauders. Another guy was coming off of Mecca and the Soul Brother and Making Main Ingredient. Another one was coming off of Hard to Earn, and another one was coming off of Breaking Atoms. These guys know how to make songs.
No, right. So here's what I submit to you. So it's like, you remember when like the grading scale for school, it's like, what was it, like 92 to 100 is an A?
Right.
Or something like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, what you just witnessed is like, well, you just watched the kid walk into your class for the first time. And as soon as he walked into your class and took the first test, well, he got 100 on the test.
Yeah.
And so when that kid gets 100 on the test, when he comes back and gets like a 93 or a 94, it's still an A. It's just not that 100.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't mean it's not an A.
That's
because
exactly
you
what
and
it
I did a It Was Written rundown, and I'm like, well, Mike, where is the subpar song? Like, when Black Girl Lost is your subpar song, Mike, your album's a classic.
Yeah, I had unrealistic expectations, to be honest.
Right. You had unrealistic expectations because he got 100 on the test the first time. And so you're like, what the hell is this 94? I'm like, that's an A. That's what that is. That's an A.
The other part of it is, Coop, it came in a year where everybody stepped it up from their previous.
See now let's,
you know what I'm
let's
saying? Like, even though I think
about
Southern Playalistic is a better album, Outkast are better on ATLians, and it's debatable at the time, right? And I also think that obviously Pac stepped it up, right?
Right. So I'm about to say.
And then the Fugees had the biggest leap ever.
I was about to say, well, let's talk about what really, really happened. Is that everybody else that made classic rap albums that year, Mike, listen to what I'm about to say. 1996 is the year that most rappers or groups that release albums that year, they made the album that they are remembered for that year. So everybody else got their 100 that year. And so it looks like he took a step back. But when you actually look at it, Mike, it's still arguably the best album that year. It's like, I've told you, it's like, no, I put Reasonable Doubt and It Was Written right next to each other yesterday and today. And I know this because, Mike, when I was 15 years old, I used to listen to those albums back to back all the time.
It's not better than All Eyes on Me.
Nothing's better than All Eyes on Me, Book One. That's what I'm saying, Mike. No, here's what I'm trying to tell you is that if we're talking about Book One of All Eyes on Me, and it was called Book, it said Book One. If we're talking about Book One of All Eyes on Me, oh no, that's the album of the year. But if we're talking about both books, I'll put It Was Written and Reasonable Doubt right ahead of both of them.
I'll put Reasonable Doubt ahead of It Was Written. Yo, shout out to.
That's not if you want to. But what I'm saying is, but if you went top three, it would probably go Reasonable Doubt, It Was Written, All Eyes on Me, The Score, ATLians, depending on how you feel. And Mike,
think
you
It Was
have
Written's
Money
better?
Wars and Illadelph Half-Life, Mike. So you got right there. You got 6, 7. Just
you think It Was Written is
like
better?
that.
Oh, you think It Was Written is better than ATLians and The Score?
What about ATLians and The Score is better than It Was Written, Mike? Really? Show me. Where's the evidence? Yeah, really.
Elevators,
where's the evidence?
Two Dope Boys. I don't know, man. I want to put that poll up there. You don't want to
do that, Mike.
Shout out to 007. He said he went to high school with bro. He said that's Rotimi, pronounced Ro-Tim-Me. So okay.
Rotimi.
Yeah, Rotimi.
I mean, okay, so Mike, here's like what? No, Mike. Watch how quick this happens. You just said Two Dope Boys. The Message. Well, you just lost. You see how quick that happened? You want to go to ATLians versus Street Dream?
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, The Message is better than Two Dope Boys, Mike.
I want to see what the people in the chat
Two Dope Boys for
say.
me is one of my top 10, like maybe Outkast songs, but it's not better than.
I like Two Dope Boys better than I like The Message. That's just me.
See, that's personal, Mike. That's not how hip hop history is going to remember these records. The Message.
I don't know,
Mike,
man.
You have to understand something, Mike. For people, and not even me, The Message is a top 5 Nas song. You cannot hand them no Two Dope Boys and think it's a valid argument because it's not.
You think The
That's
Message
in
is a
your
top
mind.
5
That's the
Nas song
ATLian
for
in you.
people? I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a top 5 Nas song. I'm telling you, there are a lot of Nas people walking around that think that is a top 5 Nas song. So when you bring in Two Dope Boys versus The Message, no, Mike, that is not a conversation.
We'll put the poll up. C-Note with the super
poll
chat
up.
says...
No. I'm talking right now, Mike. Two Dope Boys or The Message. The Message. Street Dreams or ATLians. Wash.
That's ATLians. ATLians
Okay, you give it to
better
ATLians.
song.
Mike, this is what I'm saying. No, Mike, keep going. Mike, Wheels of Steel or I Gave You Power.
Huh.
Tracks. Mike, why are we having this conversation?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Wheels of Steel could be a better song.
Then I Gave You Power?
I Gave You Power lyrically is what it is, but I don't know. I'll give it to I Gave You Power.
Right. Watch Them Niggas or Jazzy Bell.
Jazzy Bell.
Elevators or Take It in Blood.
Elevators.
Silent Murder or Over the Woods. You're wrong, by the way.
No, Elevators is better than Take It in Blood.
Okay, Silent Murder or Over the Woods.
Silent Murder's there, or is it not at the end?
I mean, Mike, if we put it at the end, it's not going to make it. We're going to go off the 96 version that got released. Silent Murder's track 7 after Take It in Blood.
Let me go to these super chats. We
See
can
what
go
I'm saying?
on
You're
and
trying
on.
to win the argument.
No. We go to the super chats because I know we could go on and on here.
Right.
C-Note with the super chat says, who wins in the fight, Spence or Crawford? I'm
going to tell you what. I ain't been excited for a fight in a long, long time like this one.
CJ Kidd says,
wait.
Elevator versus Get a Hold. That's Elevators. KD says, did I miss the M topic? I want to know. I know Mike has smoke. No, you didn't miss the M topic. We're about to get into that now. Nick Miller with the super chat says, all the ATL artists Rico'd. That's how he got in. Okay. Maybe that's it. Maybe the Falcons are scared to be looped into that. CJ Kidd with the super chat says Players Ball versus Hot-ish. Yeah, that's Players Ball. Public Enemy, Terminator X. What up, Terminator X? Said Black Girl Lost was fire.
No, I didn't say it wasn't fire. I'm saying when Black Girl Lost is the weakest song on your album, that album's a classic. That's why I keep trying to
Black
tell you.
Girl Lost the weakest song?
I want you to think about this, Mike. What's the weakest song on ATLians?
I think Decatur song, and that's a dope song.
Right, but that ain't got shit on Black Girl Lost on no sort of level. At the top and at the bottom, Mike, it was written. You got all that in between stuff, but like at the top and at the bottom, and that's usually where like shit gets made.
You know what? Like I said, we'll put the poll out there. I'll actually break it down. I know we got a whole bunch of these super chats, and we got this.
Mike, we have a Patreon show, and ATLians, and it was written at 13 records apiece, so we can
do
just
it.
go live.
I'm with it. I am with it. I am with that.
You do not want to do that. You do not, Mike. You want to put people versus ATLians?
I want to do that.
Mike, there's a difference between a second place. There's a difference between a silver medal and honorable mention, Mike. I'm just.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says, y'all talking about Nas like he Randy Watson, lead singer of Sexual Chocolate. Damn, let the boy good. Yeah, Nas is pretty great. Alkabeelan says, how in the fuck is Black Girl Lost a subpar song? You guys are nuts.
Okay, so what's the weakest song on It Was Written? Watch Them Niggas then?
I think it might be.
Watch Them Niggas, a Black Girl Lost, right? It's not like it's shootouts or the setup. Hold on. Nas is Coming. Watch Them Niggas, worse than Black Girl Lost.
You know what? Wait, hold. Nas is Coming's probably the worst song on there.
Here we go with this shit.
It is. I never liked
it. So hold on. So Nas is Coming. Watch Them Niggas and Black Girl Lost are what we're arguing about for the bottom 3 songs?
Yeah.
Mike, I'm about to wax you.
Nah.
Let's just line the 13 songs.
What are the bottom 3 songs on ATLians?
Oh, Mike, here's the thing about ATLians is that, well, nothing is really bad, but there's not a lot of epic shit on there. It's just really good. It's like I told you, that stretch where they have...
Yeah, I can't wait.
Like, how about this? 2 Dope Boys. Hold on. Mike, 2 Dope Boys, ATLians, and Wheels of Steel. Mike, those aren't hip-hop classics. Those are Southern rap classics to people. That's what I keep trying to tell you. No, I fucking love some Wheels of Steel. Wheels of Steel might be my favorite record on ATLians. You're not thinking objectively. You don't understand that other people don't feel about these records the way that we do.
What if I told you Take It in Blood is an East Coast classic?
No, Mike, Taking in Blood is just a classic. Lupe
Is
swears
it?
by Taking in Blood. He's from the west side of Chicago. You can't say that.
He's very
That's what
East
I'm
Coast
saying.
heavy.
Like, that's what I mean about Taking in Blood. There's somebody like Lupe that heard Taking in Blood. It's like, that's the best lyrical rap song I've ever heard. I want to take it further. There's nothing on ATLiens that made somebody from another region span out and think that way about the song. And that's without bringing up I Gave You Power.
We'll play
Or
it.
If I Rule the World, Mike. We ain't even talked about the singles, Mike. Like, If I Rule the World is the biggest hit between all of the songs that are on these two albums. You understand that, right?
No,
It's
I
way
agree with
better than
that.
Elevators.
Yeah. That doesn't make it the best, though, you know.
I mean, no,
Born King.
Elevators is a better record, Mike, but you know, we keep on talking about like how all these other things matter, and it's like, no, hits do matter too. And it's like, no, he got his hit records on there, he got his bar game up on there, his hook game is on there, his stories are on there. ATLiens is not better.
We'll
Because
play
you're
it.
putting his second best album, because like that's what I'm saying. If he's the greatest MC of all time, if you think that's Outkast, what best album, Mike? Third best album?
Third.
So you trying to compare Outkast's third best album to Nas' second best album, and you think that that's a competition?
I do.
That's regional bias, Mike. That's what I'm
Is
trying
it?
to tell you. You're being regional biased the way the New Yorkers have been regionally biased towards us.
Well,
You're just reversing the hand. That ain't no conversation.
I'll put it in a poll.
Because It Was Written gets mentioned with Reasonable Doubt and All Eyes on Me, and
Does it?
ATLiens needs to get mentioned with Muddy Waters and Illadelph Half-Life. Because it's a classic, but it ain't like that.
Born King says, nothing was touching All Eyes on Me in ATL. The album had 559 on blast. Yeah. Shout out to 559. We got somebody who's really been in the A for real. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, Coop is a master debater. We'll say, find it's a better song, and then adjust his glasses and say, but is it better lyrically? LOL. Love Coop. CJ Kidd also says ATLiens versus Check the Rhyme. Yeah, we're going.
That's Check the Rhyme.
Yeah, that's definitely Check.
That's why I said you can't play those cast hits against Tribe and think that you're going to win. You need to play the best cast song.
They said those albums aren't comparable, but you know what? We're going to try. We're going to go track for track on our Patreon.
Just for those of you who are wondering, yes, I was on the debate team at Redan Middle School, East Side, ATL stand up. Yes, right. I was on the debate team in middle school, Mike. They didn't have no debate team when I moved to Charlotte, but I would have been on there and I would have waxed them like I'm going to wax Esquire when I finally pull up on the trivia. Does this? I had an attorney try me this week, Mike. She found out the wrong way that I am not the guy.
CJ Kidd says, just do a 9-track versus between Illmatic versus Akumanai. LOL.
You don't want to do that either. Like, you don't want to do that either. I don't want to do it the cast.
I would love to take Akumanai on that. I'm cool with that.